I'll say, hey, listen, this is what happened on our way here. Just trying to get everything figured out. All right. Just centering myself, you know. So, I come to Portland right now. The driver picks me up, okay? And from the airport, he's driving me to the hotel, and he says, now listen, this didn't happen this trip. I come to Portland to do stand-up. This happened two trips ago. But I probably should have said it happened this trip, you know, but then I feel somebody would go, hey, wait a second. I was here 2 trips ago. So, but it was the only funny thing that ever happened to me here. I'll do it again. I'll tell you that in a second, right? But it has to do with this. This is what the driver said. And this is what I've noticed. I've noticed this time in Portland more than 2 trips ago. I've noticed that, like, there'll be a door, right, on a place of business, and on the door it says, we welcome everyone, you know, black people, white people, trans, you know, gay people, it doesn't matter. We welcome your business, which I thought it's sort of courageous, you know, here in 1954. You may as well say we observe the law. If we'd like to, you know, if it was our choice, you know. And then if you have nothing on your door, when people are like this, racist. Doesn't allow people in. And look at the door. Guy's got a bucket of paint, just like that, right? But this one happened 2 times ago when I was in Portland in a cave, and it's sort of the same kind of theme because the driver picks me up, right? And he's driving me to the hotel. And he goes, I'll tell you something about Portland. There's no racism. And when I was like, come on, now there's racism. You know, it's universal, right? It's every. Oh no, not in Portland. I'm like, all right, whatever. He's like, no racism. Now, I'm driving to the airport. I'm looking out of the windows of the car, and I see no black people. So I happen to say to the driver, because he's been so, you know, I go, it's, you know, you're talking about how nobody's racist, but, you know, it's not that hard to not be racist. There's no black people in the entire city. You know, you don't have a single black person. And then the guy says to me, he says, we got our share. And I don't know what it is about driving a car for a living, but it makes you a racist, or you are, every cabbie I've ever had, racist. Because I used to live way far away from where I would go, you know, like it's called the suburbs, you know, and that's where my parents were. So when I was a kid, I would always party, and then I have to get home, and I have to go through all this wilderness to get to my parents' place. And so I'd have to take a cab, and every time the cab is a racist. And it was like 20 miles of the guy's racism. You know? And then, you know, you go, what do I do? Like, you should tell the guy, look, you're wrong. But I don't know, I just want to get home. I'm half drunk. I don't want to be on crossfire with this guy. I just want to get home. So I agree with whatever he says, which is not good. Because that makes it more racist. Like, I guess everybody thinks the same thing, but I just want to get home. I don't say anything, but I just agree. Which is just as bad, I guess, you know. But by the end of the drive, I'm like, yes, he had the right idea. Please, just over. about when the guys are racist, you don't even know what race it is? Like, one time, I was in a car, the guy says, you know what the trouble of this country is? I'm like, oh, is it some people or something? I was just guessing. He goes, yeah, it's some people. What people is it anyway? Because it's the goddamn brindle heads. I didn't know what it meant or anything, you know? And I remember I looked it up that night, brindle, and I couldn't even make any, there was no such thing. So I've always wondered, because maybe he was right, maybe that is the problem. What about guys when they act like they're not racist, like so much so that it's a little suspicious, you know what I mean? Like, you ever hear those guys are like, I don't care if a guy's black or white or yellow or green. You're like, green? You don't care if a guy's green? There's such a thing. Such a thing as being too progressive, you know what I mean? To me, green is where I cry. Shoot on sight, you see something. Clearly a Martian, you know what I mean? You shoot him or he dematerializes you. Your gun has a bullet, his gun dematerializes. Dematerialization would be a cool way. I think it'd be a good way to die if they could just dematerialize you instantly. You know what I mean? But it's hard to do. Because I'll try to think of death penalty, what the best death penalty would be. Because death penalties, you guys don't have the death penalty here. We don't have it in California. I don't like the death penalty. I'm against the death penalty. Because I feel, I don't know, I feel, you know, I don't like it. I just, it doesn't really matter what I feel. But I do notice this. You ever notice, like, sometimes the death penalty, you think, it never seems to match the crime. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't. The guy kills the president. That guy should be killed. You know, he killed the President Kennedy. Or, you know, that whoa, he blew up. I think he should be killed. But most of the time with these death penalty cases, it's such a small, you know, they took lives, but for such pointless fucking, they weren't thinking, you know. Like, it's always like a guy goes like, he's driving down the street and then he stops at a filling station and he shoots two people, execution style. Then he steals, you know, $35 from the till and a jar of cashew nuts or something, you know, Japanese TV. And then he's driving there in a car and he's all happy. He's like, ah, head. I got head for the first time ever. And I'll pull into this bar and brag about it to everybody. So they always get caught. Otherwise, they'd never get caught over there. Have to brag it to everybody. So then they go to, they get the death penalty. And that's tough, you know. Imagine if you're charged and they go out there, you're guilty, everybody knows you're guilty, you know. There's no, then it's time for the penalty phase. And the judge has to decide what you get. Life or death? The opposites. Polar opposites. Direct opposites. I don't like saying polar. I shouldn't stop saying that. I don't know why, but I was thinking about when they had polar opposites, right? And then you go, wait a minute, the North Pole and the South Pole, they're pretty fucking similar. They're almost exactly alike. But anyways, that had nothing to do with it. But the life or death. So first the guy's hoping for life. He's like, geez, I'd like to get some life, you know? And what about those guys who go, you get 35 straight life sentences for 10,000 years? Like, that doesn't seem fair.
Crux will go.
Anyways, you get the death sentence, and I like when they give you the free meal. You know, you get wants. That's how you can tell they're a little plagued by the ambiguity of the death sentence, that the judge has to have this, like, try to make, listen, Edgar James Buchanan, listen, here's the deal. I guess the bad news, good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. It turns out we're going to kill you. Okay? May as well just go out and say it. Here's the good news. Do you like steak? Do you like a nice, do you like a ribeye steak? Because there's this restaurant down by the death house. My God, the ribeye steak there is amazing. I bring my wife. Whenever my wife's mother's birthday, we take her down to called Death House Steak. She loves it. Every time it's her birthday, we take her down there. She loves she always tells me that she loves the cheesecake. She says that the cheesecake is to... It's a good cheesecake. It's a good cheesecake. It's a good cheesecake. So go away, and then the guy goes away. And then he lives in a little place. Guess where his free world closed? But he lives in a little room, very small, and it's just him and nothing else, just him and his regrets. Which I guess is like all of us, what else we got? But this is more condensed, you know what I mean? This is more like, basically it's just a guy going, God damn, I don't even like cashews that much. What was I thinking? There's a little rash, I have to admit, now that I look back on that. Nice. $35 doesn't go that far. I've kept and learned. Then you have your last day, and then all your relatives come to visit you in your little, room, and that's not fun. You think Thanksgiving's not a lot of fun. Imagine your fucking family all in your little death hat, And you're like, oh, what, you again? Oh, yeah, my uncle, yeah. What's going on with you? He's like, well, the kids are taking piano lessons. I don't give a fuck about... We only talk about me tonight. They're killing me tomorrow in a hot chair. That's what I was trying to get to. Is when they come out with a hot chair, because they should have just dematerialized the guy. So there's a lot of different ways that they use, but one, and it was the most popular for a long time and still is around, the hot chair, the hot electric hot chair. Right? Now, who the fuck thought this up? I mean, everything I'm going, look, man, this guy's a human garbage the way he killed all those, he's got to die, we have to extinguish his life. But how? Anybody got any ideas? Yes, Fred. What about a hot chair? Okay, listen, Fred. Are you talking about a chair that's hot? Like after your uncle gets up and he gets in it? What kind of chair is hot? Well, no, hotter than that. I don't get you, Fred. Hotter, I'm saying. It's so hot, it plugs into the wall, and then it gets hot, the chair, and then you're sitting in it, you start getting hot, but very, very hot. So hot that your innards start boiling and everything, and like your viscera begins to liquefy, and then, 20 minutes later, fucking starts bubbling out your head, your brain, fucking just all... Excellent, Fred. Well, we can stop now. We don't need any more. If only people were more like Fred with his ideas. Maybe we can get... So then you got to walk a mile with a sad-faced pastor. You don't want a sad-faced pastor. What do you give him, a whore or something? It's a hardened criminal. What does he want with a sad-faced pastor? Then he has to walk a mile. I don't know why that's there. He's like, a mile's a long way for a hardened criminal. And he's got, leg irons. He's like, how much longer? 3/4 of a mile. He marches and walks and walks. Finally, he get there, and then there's the hot chair. It's like, ah, it's the hot chair. And then there's a red phone. That's his last hope, is the red phone, because the red phone is connected to another phone that sits beside the couch of the governor while, you know, he's asleep watching Webster. And then the guy goes and he's like, oh, it rang! And then they go, no, it didn't. And people always think that. That's a little trick your ear plays on you. They explain, all right, we'll sit in the hot chair. And then the guy says, anyway, the dematerializing, that's what I was trying to get to. Because when you crash in an airplane, you dematerialize. I realized this because I took an airplane from Las Vegas to here. And if you crash on an airplane, it struck me, you know, in a sudden. But think about it. If there's an airplane crash, they will come over with cameras and show it like a video, right? Or they'll take pictures. They don't do that with a car crash, because you'll see a guy like that. But they'll take a picture. There's an airplane. There were 300 people on the airplane. They just take a fucking picture of it, and then you look. There's no guy like, you know. There's no guy at all. There's no people. You're just dematerialized. You're just reduced to like stuff. You know, you don't even see a human. You see like a little doll. They'll always show a doll. They survive. The people, they're stuff. It's just you're a plane load of stuff. That's what they find. God, there's a lot of stuff in this plane. Look at this. Stuff. And then they have to get that stuff, right? And they have to they call it the remains. It's a nice word, you know? The remains. You know, like the remains of the day. The remains of Phil. But it's just stuff. And and of course the victims want not the victims, but the relatives of the families of the victims want the remains. They go, God damn, I'll let you get the remains. Because I can't go to sleep. It's been a week now. I can't get any sleep. I got insomnia. All I think of is Phil and his face and how his last moments might have been. If only I could see a bunch of his remains. Then I feel I could finally get a nice sleep. Put this whole thing behind me. If only I could look at a bunch of his remains. Yeah, again, this is stuff, you know? Ashes, ashes, you know, and so you go and you're not going to get, you know, let's be honest, they're not going to say, hey, look at the, what is that golden lock of strawberry blonde? That look a little like Alice. Over in that scene. Didn't somebody find a splinter of bone that looked like a little bit like Alice's knee bone? You know, you fucking crazy. All they do is maybe they find your ID. Go, look, man, this guy named Norm, 190 pounds. Okay, shovel 190 pounds of stuff. Shovel that into a bag. You write Norm on the side of that one. Norm's father when I see it. Then my mother gets it. She's like, excellent. Hey, I don't remember Norm having 3 eyeballs. I guess none of us really know. You know, they give you those, oh, go, be careful, and the thing comes down, and the one, oh, you know, and the oxygen mask, right? The oxygen mask, and if you breathe, you know, you make sure you use your oxygen mask, and first put it on you, and then your little child. You're like, that was my plan, you have to blab it to everything. I always take the exit row because you get extra leg room, right? And it's free, And all you have to do to get the extra leg room, you have to just, all you have to do is lie. A stewardess comes up, and not a stewardess, but a lady that's a flight attendant. Whatever, people, the words change. So when I was young, if you were a woman and you were a flight attendant, we called you a stewardess. You know what I mean? That's the way it was. And if you were a man and you were a flight attendant, then we would call you a, you know, whatever. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I don't know what you guys are thinking. But I wasn't thinking that. But anyways, the woman comes and she goes, okay, we have to ask you some questions. In case a big, you know, an explosion happens, a fireball and everything like that, and a flight of black smoke races down the fuselage, you know, to choke the life out of you. Would you mind, like, letting some other people out before you? Okay. And then I go, we have to have a verbal, you know, you can't just go, you have to go, yes! Because there's binding, or I don't know what. Of course you wouldn't, but you have to say it, you know. You have to lie. Sometimes when you lie, you go too far. That's what I always do. I go, yes, I would do that. I'll do it, that's for sure. Here's the funny thing, I was going to ask you if I could do it. Weird, right? I think it's well worth the extra 6 inches of leg room. You know, please. I was in Las Vegas. We flew, right, from Las Vegas, Nevada to here. And you know what, when I was in Las Vegas, I was on an not an airplane, I was on an elevator. Hey, what about this for an airplane? I was just thinking this today. You know when they begin the air, first of all, I think that some things are not as amazing as we think. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the computer, oh, it's amazing. You can type a guy, or the fax, you put a piece of paper in, a guy from over there gets the paper at the same time. Whoa! Whoa, it's amazing, right? Meanwhile, what about a fucking telephone? Way more impressive. Fucking 200 years ago. Like, it should be the opposite. It should be, oh, now a computer, oh, and now it's a fax, a piece of paper. Oh, did you hear the latest? You can talk to a guy in China. Oh, fuck, no way. You know, that's amazing that you can talk to a guy in China 200 years ago. A man in China. This is what I think of flying, because, you know, they have the Wright brothers. They show up in Kitty Hawk, right? And they show them taking off, and then it lasts for about 12 seconds or something. And then everybody's like, yeah, yay for you guys. You're the best, right? Meanwhile, there were all these other guys right before the Wright brothers that were trying the same thing. Most of them made the mistake of like making their... Which makes sense, because, you know, you are ripping off a bird. Even the Wright brothers were ripping off birds, you know. But all the other ones, all these other people that were contemporaneous with the Wright brothers, who were also trying to solve, you know, flight, the mystery of flight, and how to make flights, you know. What do you ever hear of them? You never see them. The only time you see them is they'll show, like, when they crash, like, and they even use that music, that Benny Hill music. And it's crashing and people are dying, and like, it's dying, fire. You know, it lasted 9 seconds. What a fucking idiot. Those Wright brothers went about 12. That's not the point. The point is I was on an elevator. I was on an airplane. I'm coming down in the elevator in Las Vegas. Now, here's the way you got to know about Las Vegas. A lot of people go to Las Vegas and they want to break the bank. They want to beat the system. They want to make some money. And so they come with systems. You know, they have systems that are going to win. And sometimes, I don't know, you know when you just hear a snippet, this is my favorite thing, when I just hear a snippet of a conversation, and I can imagine an entire scenario around that little snippet. And this is what I heard. I'll give you an example. One time I heard a snippet. It was two homeless guys sitting beside each other, and one of the homeless guys says to the other guy, he says, "When the fuck were you ever goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens? Come on, man." So he'd had enough of this guy's horse shit. What about when guys just lie? You know, everybody knows like a pathological liar. You know those people you meet? It's embarrassing, you know what I mean? And some kind of sickness they have, and then they tell you an insane lie, and then you're embarrassed. They should be embarrassed, but you're embarrassed. So anyways, I had this job, right? I was washing dishes and I had this other guy that was washing dishes beside me, right? His name was Tony. He washed the dishes, and I also washed the dishes at this restaurant. It was called the Old Spaghetti Factory, right? You know that place? It's an excellent place. If you like old spaghetti, this is the place. This is the place to go. You know, from a factory, oh my God. Factory, old spaghetti. Fine, you know. But anyway, I was washing this, he watched this beside me. So this is in Etobicoke, which is like a suburb of Toronto. So I say to him, "Hey," I go, "Bruce Springsteen was just in Toronto last weekend." He's like, "Yeah, I partied with him." I'm like, "Oh, ha." I didn't know how to react. And then they always are suspicious, you know, and so he says, "You can ask my cousin." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I tried to wash my dishes. I didn't want to phone his relatives. You know, I'm like, "Excuse me, are you Tony's cousin, the cousin of Tony?" "Yeah, that's right. I wash dishes beside him." He washed dishes, and I'm phoning to confirm some outlandish horse shit he told me. I'm not going to do that. But I'm in the elevator, so I hear a snippet, and this is what I hear, right? And I believe that from this snippet, I understood that I was watching a system, because these systems that people come to Vegas and they play these systems, and believe it or not, sometimes these systems actually don't work at all. I viewed like the unravel of a system, because I was on the elevator, it was the guy and his wife, and the guy says to his wife, "I don't give a fuck what I said, give me the money, come on." I worked for that, it was my money, you know, so I think he was calling an audible on his system, you know, he was going to take the rest of the money better on red, and then if he won, he's going to return, I believe, to the original system. I bet on red. I'll tell you, this is how irrational you are in a casino, right? I go by the roulette table. I say, "I'll bet $200 on red." So I bet $200 on red. Spin the wheel and the silver ball. The silver ball lands on black. I bet on red, and then I say really loud, I go, "Fuck, I almost picked that." And everyone understood at the table. Everybody understood. They're like, "Oh, you can't overthink it. No, you gotta go with your first instinct." If you understand anything about the game of roulette, you know, it's I'm a little nauseated, because this is what happens. What the fuck? Who fucking puts food in mini bars? Where do they find the people that put the fucking food in the goddamn mini bar? Because if you ever open a mini bar, go, "Hey, it's all my favorite food." A bunch of crazy shit. You're like, "Oh, it's 3 in the morning. You know what I'd like to eat? 2 pounds of gummy bears." If only there was a giant weird glass full of cashews where I have to cut open plastic and then figure out the code. Anyway, I got so much fucking gummy bears inside my belly. I ate 50 eggs for breakfast. Eat 50 eggs. Yeah, well. Why do you say 40? Why do you say 45? Yeah, well, I guess 50 just sounds like a nice even number. What about this election? That coming up? Who knows? Who knows anything? I tell you this though. We're in a cultural shift. Everything's changed. Everything's changing fast. You know what I mean? You got to be on your toes. A lot of rights are being wronged. That's always a good thing. Always a good thing. This is the way I see it. This is my big picture. This is the way I see it. I think there's two big problems I have. One of my problems is this. We are living in an evil patriarchy that benefits no one except straight white males. Okay, that's one problem. Here's the second problem. I'm a straight white male. I don't want to shake it up too much, you know. Shake it up a little bit, but not so much. Well, no, you had your run, you know, what about the future, the kids and everything? That's another problem. I have a child, straight white male. One child. I think, at least. I don't really know. Could be a gay lady. I don't know. That's the other thing. You don't know anything. You should know. I remember when I was a little boy, I went up to my dad. I said, Dad, I feel like I'm a little girl. He said, I had a cock and stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah. You got me. I only say that to illustrate how hateful my father was. He thought he was the other stuff. I have a little plan, actually. You know, you got to use your nod. You got to make the system work for you sometimes, right? So this is my little plan, in case I ever get in trouble. Because I've done some things in my past. I'm not ashamed of some things that have passed the realm of the ethic right to the straight criminal. You know? I shoplifted. I used to shoplift it all. I don't know if you've ever done this, but god damn, it's thrilling. So I used to do that. I stole from this guy that let me stay at his house. I stole a bunch of money. I found out where he hid it. I stole it and vanished into the night. Different things. You know, manslaughter. I did that. I slaughtered a man. Here's a funny one. Murder. You get more for murder than manslaughter. You know, what's murder? You shoot a guy. You ever fucking slaughter a man? Way worse. It takes a long time, you know. Like I had one of those swords, like a Japanese, was my brother's when I was a kid. It was a toy. It's like rusty. I can't remember what it's called. What are those swords called?
Samurai.
What?
Katana. Fuck out of me.
No, what did you say? Atana?
Samurai.
Not samurai.
Katana.
What?
Katana.
No, not katana either. Machete! Almost there, but I'm not usually the guy that knows the right word. So anyways, rusty, I said, whatever, I slaughtered it. But that's my little plan. Should I ever have to face the music, you know, I have my speech already prepared. And I would go, listen, I'd just like to say before you send me away, I know you, in your wisdom, you have decided that I should spend my life behind bars and never see the light of day again. And I go along with that, you know. And, first of all, I want to apologize to the victims of that man I slaughtered. I I understand he was quite a fella from the way everybody talked about him. I didn't know. You know, to me, he was just a guy that bumped into me. But anyway, I know what I did was wrong, and I'm ready to go to prison. So anyways, that's all I have to say. I have one other little thing to say. I'm a lady. Okay, listen. I've known it my whole life. Who was I kidding? I was lying to myself. I was lying to people around. It's time for me. But anyways, maybe that lady prison. What time I live my truth, you know? I feel I'll be very popular there. So anyway, that's my little plan. Isn't it funny where sometimes you go, yeah, no, a man that has a cock, he can be a lady too. Of course, it makes complete sense. And you never rethink it or go like, huh? Here's the reason. So many wise things are just not wise. They're just, they just say something that's the opposite. You know what I mean? And then people go, like, people go like, less is more. You're like, no. Why do you say lies like that? You know? That which does not kill you makes you stronger. No. Makes you way weaker. And then that thing tries to kill you again, and then it kills you because you're weak from the first time it tried to kill you. What the fuck are you talking about? I know it doesn't sound good, my version, you know, it doesn't even fit on the cup. That's what, I like cups, by the way. Think about it, the old days, if you wanted something wise, you'd have to read an entire book, you know, you'd have an entire 4-volume fucking, like, remembrance of things past, and they go, God damn, look, on page 1811, Proust says something here that seems wise to me. Meanwhile, you have to go through all this stuff that makes you sleepy to get there. Now, we live in a beautiful world where all you have to do if you want wisdom is to go to a cup store, a store that sells cups. And then you just look at the cups and go, God damn, that cup knows a lot. You can buy that cup and read it every day. But then the next cup is even wiser. You go, holy fuck, that cup's great. Oh my golly. But anyway, the big election coming up, and it's going to be really something, I'll tell you that. I've been watching a lot of Bob Hope on my YouTube. I watch his political stuff, you know. He goes, boy, I tell you, I wonder if this one would still work, because he doesn't work anymore, you know. But I'll tell you, I have a solution, you know, to the energy crisis in this country. And this is what it is, I feel, that if you just went to Capitol Hill and you could harness all that hot air, you know, that wouldn't really work, you know, because the thing is, like, energy is created by fossil fuels and stuff like that. Like hot air, that just means it's a colloquial thing of a guy saying a bunch of nonsense, you know? Just hot air. That guy's full of hot air. That could fuel an automobile or anything like that. And listen, I'm not here to say Bob Hope's a liar. Listen, I don't care if a man's done his time, but I hate a liar. You know, they're talking about prison reform, and it's about time. You know, this is one of the, you know, we're talking about the election, remember a couple of minutes ago? There's a lot of things. There's crack, you know, there's the opioid epidemic, there's crack, you know. And here's what they don't tell you about crack. It's so good. You never hear that part, right? I was whoa, epidemic. You're like, yeah, epidemic of people feeling great all the time. Is that the epidemic you're talking about, where people feel happy all the time? But prison reform, they say, it's not fair because the amount of minorities far outweighs the amount of majorities in the prison system. So it's just not fair. And there's a lot of people in the prison system for non-violent offenses. So anyways, they're going to try to shake it up, and I hope to God they do. But this is what they're missing. They're not seeing the forest for the trees, as the old saw goes, Like, they think from there, wherever they live, they don't know. They haven't been in prison, so they don't understand, They go, well, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. If you did a poll, if you just went to the prisoners themselves and said, we're going to think of reform, what would you like reform? Every prisoner would go, oh, the ass fucking. Definitely, that would be number one. First thing they should reform. Everybody knows this. You don't even have to be a prisoner. You just have to be a human being, man. And you go, God damn, I'm going to go to jail. Now, let's say you have to go to jail in a week. What are you thinking? Right? You're not going, I'll lose my freedom. How will I make it when I have to read a book every day and work out? That's not what you're thinking. Fuck my ass. Unless I can figure out a way to hang myself. And then they say about the judge never tells the guy, you know what I mean? The judge never goes, yeah, we're taking you away, they're going to ass fuck you, Please be man enough to say what the actual penance you have to pay is. Yeah. And then they go, we can't do anything about it, how can we control them, You go, how can you control them? They're in prison with bars. You have a fucking gun. You have guns, right? You go, well, they have drugs. If I ass fuck each other, what are we supposed to do? How about this? You go, stop, okay. Stop with the ass fucking. You with the cock. Over there. Go ahead over there. I'll shoot you. Throw away those drugs. Next person I see ass fucking, I shoot him. Stop it. It's fun to watch, Well, it is fun to watch. You ever watch gay porn? That's my favorite type of movie. That's my favorite genre. Gay porn. And I'm not gay. Listen, we're all part of a minority in some way, like I'm part of a minority that we never get any, nobody ever has come out. I did, but nobody cared, I'm not a big enough star yet. But I am a deeply closeted homosexual, right? Now, people are so confused by this term, I don't know why, but because usually the response I'll get is people go, oh, you're gay? I go, no. Couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm straight. I'm deeply closeted gay guy. I don't even like gay guys. People don't understand, I'm married, Ruth. Beautiful woman. My God. She was Miss Hawaiian Tropic 2 years ago. 28-year-old woman. I mean, this absolutely stunning woman. Absolutely stunning woman. The sad part is I find her sexually repulsive. Because I'm deeply closeted gay man. So it's kind of a waste, and she's I do my marital duties, you know. I lie down on top of her and so forth. But I'll tell you, women and men are different, aren't they? I mean, I know that's not the freshest material, but I'm coming from the standpoint of a deeply closeted gay man. I should say, women and deeply closeted gay men sure are different. You know, like after sex, you know, Ruth, she loves to cuddle, you know. I like to vomit, you know what I mean? Like I'll go into the bathroom because I don't want to hurt her feelings. And I vomit like for about a half an hour. She's like, you know, really, yeah. And I'm vomiting. And then I vanish. I just vanish for like 4 or 5 days. And I'm happy. It's not an easy life, I'll tell you. I end up really resenting Ruth. But anyway, I don't want to and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with gay people. It's just, you know, this is my thing with gay people. They can do whatever they want. Just don't fucking come around me with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like, you know what I hate is those, when I go to a gym and they have like a locker room. You know what I mean? Like, why should I go in there, I just go in there and want to just use the towel, get out, you know what I mean? I got stuff to do, you know what I mean? And what do I have to look at? Just the most beautiful, hot asses. You know what I mean? And all their naked splendor is incredible. I'm in there to dry off and get out, you know? The last thing I want to do is be hiding behind a locker furiously masturbating. Anyway, that ain't for me. It's like that movie, Brokeback Mountain, you know what I mean? I like westerns, that's my favorite genre, you know what I mean? And I love it, you know what I mean? I'll go there and I'll watch, and, you know, I don't want to see that kind of stuff, you know, pretending they're a western, but they're not, you know? I like westerns, real westerns, you know, pick it up yourself, Liberty, you know what I mean? Like real westerns. Like, I like seeing the sheriff, oh man, Black Bart's coming, they got out of jail, he's coming after you, Sheriff, what are you going to do? Who knows, maybe, you know, some of the folks put a horse behind the sheriff so he could run away. You know, there's no shame in it. Black Bart is fucking, you know, thirsty for the blood of the sheriff. Anyways, that's what I want to see. I want to see that tension, you know? I don't want to see some guy's beautiful hot cock. Straight close-up slipping into a hot asshole. By the way, that's not even in the movie. That's not even in the film. It's not my cup of tea, but make it. If you're gonna make it, make it. If you're gonna make it, make it. I don't want to see a western. I want to see the good guy and the bad guy. And there's some dusty road that separates the two, and they each have their sidearms. And one will flash, and suddenly one of them will be lying down, and one of them will be standing up. And by God, I hope the one that's vertical is wearing a white hat. I'll go, yes, Sheriff. Yes, in excitement, I'll be in the back row. Yes. Yes! Yeah, instead of like, you know, whacking off in front of the guy. Oh, the guy right in front of me. He's like, yeah, I'll and this guy's so mad, like, you go, God damn. Like, how insecure do you have to be in your own sexuality? To question your manliness just because you got a bunch of my jizz all over your face. Now I'm all mixed up. I'll tell you, I'm all mixed up. I'm all mixed up. I forgot to start my I'm all mixed up thing at the start of the show. I soon as I said, I go, oh, that should get huge applause, but I forgot I was supposed to say it 30 times before that. I've been working on this poster. It's like a big, it's called Photoshop. It's a small, it makes it look big, a blender, you know, and it's pressed on liquefy. There's a fucking piece of celery, there's some tomatoes, it's all vegetables. Tomatoes, a couple of stalks of celery, right? And then I'm trying to get out. I'm all mixed up, you know? It's just about me being all mixed up with everything that's going on in the world. I'm a little out of step. I'm an old man, you know what I mean? Let's not kid ourselves. I've seen more sunsets than I'm going to, you know what I mean? I don't want to get everybody depressed, but you know, the hills are a little steeper, you know what I mean? Snow's a little bit deeper, you know? Time. I just let my hair go white though, you know, and bald shit. I don't care. I don't try to do, put, this and now facelift and all that shit, because I want to know, you know what I mean? Because I think that God, you know, it's his way of giving you a little signal, you know what I mean? He's like, all right, you know, there you go. Your hair is white. I make your hair white, so maybe it's time to get your affairs in order, you know, because I killed your hair, you know, your hair is not dead. You don't want to, die and then be surprised. Some people do want that. They go, if only I just didn't know about it and just died in my sleep and forgot to give my soul to Jesus. That'd be the best. And the devil rapes you for all the time. My goal is for the devil not to rape me for all the time. So far, it's working. I made out all my things for my funeral. Not to be morbid, but you want them all. You know how people go to funerals, they're all sad and everything else, act all sad. You know what I mean? That's what I want. Everybody be sad and then just talk about me, not themselves or that shit. You know what I mean? Just me. And how sad they'll be without me. Like if I have one person that won't be able to make it because I died, I'll feel I made a difference. And I have little things for, when I die. They want me to think of a thing to put on my gravestone, an epitaph. And they say, it should be funny, on account of you're a stand-up comedian. So I thought, well, you put a joke on there. Yeah, you think that's a good idea, right? You'll share laughter after you're dead. Here's the problem. Your loved one comes, they see it, fucking look at that. But what about the third time? You go, hey, we should go visit Norm. I'm sick of that fucking joke. I have to fake laugh at that goddamn joke one more time. So I don't want to do that. So anyways, what I'm having is a big, it's a big flashing neon light, and it just says 3 simple words. Be sad now. Be sad now. Be sad now. Be sad now. Be sad now for infinity, forever. But I have a little, I want to. I guess I'm a bit of a romantic, because I have a few of my friends, that I've been fortunate enough to have friends since I was in grade 4. I have the same 3 friends. We still hang out with each other, and I'm lucky that way. So I have in my funeral plans that they've known me longer than anybody, except my mom. So I want them to I want to have a little moment where it's just my 3 friends, just alone, and me, of course, and everybody else would be outside, just the three of them around me, and that they would just talk about me and remember things, and then at the end, try to bring me back to life. Why not, right? Like every funeral I've gone to, I've gone, I should shake this motherfucker. He looks pretty alive to me, but you don't want to because it's embarrassing. But the guy can go, oh, God, thank you. Anyways, the show ended a long time ago, the lights went out. I should have told you, but I felt bad. Listen, I believe, I'm lucky enough to be, I'm not strong enough to be an atheist. I don't think I'm smart enough to be an atheist. But I'll tell you this, I don't think atheists should try to talk other people out of believing. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I don't think it's right. You know what I mean? Just because you're smart, you know what I mean? Like, why try to talk other people into it? You know what I mean? I don't understand it. Go, excuse me, you over there, you, with the gleam of hope in your eye. Come on over here. I gotta tell you something. Here's the deal. You live, you get sick, you die, they put dirt on you. You want to come to my house and talk about it all day with me? Me and my buddies, that's all we fucking do all day long. We have podcasts and everything. Would you care to do that? Hey, how about this? They now find out that the historical accuracy of Jesus Christ living at the time is now a fact. But it doesn't really matter to me whether it's a fact or not, because it doesn't really matter if he's a person, he was a person, and if he's divine, he's divine, But it's interesting that they keep finding these new things. So they found a scroll. This completely surprised me. I read it on BuzzFeed. It said, not only was Jesus Christ an actual historical figure, so was Jesus H. Christ. People never knew that. And so they read a whole bunch of scrolls, and they're going to bring it out. It's pretty wild. And it's a tragic kind of story. He was also born in Bethlehem, Jesus H. Christ. It's a common name. But what happened was, because he was born very near, and everybody would follow him. Master, can I touch the hem? And he's like, no, what? It's the other guy. He's a carpenter. Not me. I have a hedge fund. I'm a hedge fund guy. He's over there. He's poor. Can we touch your hems? Please, no, I'm not him. I'm Howard. Howard's my name. Why can't I go with Howard? I should have gone with Howard. Anyways, it tells his whole story, and it's kind of tragic, because everywhere he went, he was followed. You know what I mean? And finally, the ending is so tragic. They were all his followers. Oh, Lord, no, he's running away. I gotta get away. But that's what the real Jesus did too, So they're like, it's him, get him, we'll get him. And they went and they finally caught him, and they're touching him to get cured and everything like that. And then he's like, ah! And then a whole bunch of lepers touch him, right? And he cures none of them, but he becomes a leper. He's like, fuck, now I'm a leper. So now he's a leopard. He goes, not a leopard. He's a leper now. He goes, I gotta find Jesus, the real Jesus Christ, So he goes, he tries to find him, and then he just gets there, and Jesus is dying. He's dead on the cross. And so he falls to his knees, Jesus H. Christ. He goes, I hate you, Jesus, And then he goes to hell, and the devil rapes him for all time. It's one of the saddest stories ever. I saw a guy though in Calgary, Alberta, right? He was, you know those guys? I saw a guy here. I saw a guy from Calgary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're amazing. So I go. I don't know why I'm pointing that way, but I saw a guy down the street today that was also a fire and brimstone preacher. But it's a particularly American thing. This guy was from Canada, where I saw Calgary, and he didn't have the strength to be he didn't have the oratorical skills to be a great fire and brimstone teacher, a preacher. He's more of just that Canadian thing hurt the delivery. Like he would go like, the wages of sin are death, eh? It was a question, you know. He said, if you do not go through Jesus Christ, then you will be thrown into a lake of fire? But some people think that Jesus was just an ordinary guy, just a regular guy, you know, and I don't know whether there's no point in that, you know. What do you want to preach that about? And there's nothing in the Gospels that, you know. Imagine that was your sermon, you know. Jesus was just an ordinary guy. Thessalonians 4, verse 1. And Jesus that's right. Thessalonians 4, verse 1. Jesus was in front of the masses, and behold, they were hungry, and behold, they were thirsty. And Jesus looked down and saw that he had but one piece of fish, and one a loaf of bread, and one a glass of wine. And Jesus said, sorry, man, there's only enough here for me. Jesus was just an ordinary guy. John 4, verse 2. Jesus went on to the moneylenders, and the Sadducees and the Pharisees came upon Jesus, and Jesus looked upon all of the men and women, and they danced in their harlotry. And Jesus called over Paul, and Jesus said, Paul, where is Peter? And Paul brought Peter to Jesus. And Jesus said unto Peter, Peter, upon you shall the rock be built, and upon you the church shall have as its foundation the rock that is you. And Peter said, sorry, man, what was that? I wasn't listening. And Jesus said, it doesn't matter, man, it's cool. And yet Jesus went into the corner and he sulked, and he wouldn't talk to anybody, not even the chicks. Jesus was an ordinary guy. I'm going to work on it.